Welcome to Grandpa's So Old. I had a little bit of an issue here with my wagon, and if you'd like to see what happened, you can check it out in my other channel. It's called Deer River Wild, and I'll provide a link to that video in the description of this video. But basically, I had a little issue with the rear wheel. Now, this wagon is a toy wagon, and it was being thrown away, so you know Grandpa. I scrounged it up, and I've been using it ever since on the farm. And it really is being used that's a little bit heavier than what it was designed for. But let me flip it over here so you can take a look at the underneath. So here we are at the underside. Yep, this wheel wasn't made for what I was trying to use it for. It was very flimsy and it broke. You know, to give it credit, it did last 10 years of some pretty good use. So what I need to do, obviously, is to replace that wheel. Well, yeah, what I could have done is just buy another cheap wheel, slap it on there, in a couple minutes I'm good to go. But I decided this will give me an opportunity to beef up this rear undercarriage a little bit, make it a little bit more stronger, and then put on some heavier duty wheels. I'll give you a view of the front end here. I had a similar situation a couple of years ago, and I'll show you what I did to that. So here we are at the front end. What I did on this was, obviously I replaced the wheels. These are a heavy duty wheel compared to the old flimsy wheel that was on there. I had the same wheels on the front. So I replaced the wheels. These are a heavy duty wheel with a steel rim. And then I know it doesn't look very pretty, but it worked. I reinforced the front end. I added some heavier steel in here, reinforced this rod, and put on a nice heavy axle. And it's lasted me a couple of years now with some heavy use, so it seemed to work. So since it worked, there's no sense in reinventing the wheel, no pun intended. I decided to do the same type of reinforcement work on the rear axle. So that's what we're going to work on today. Now there's 4 bolts that I have to remove underneath here. They're quite rusty. I did spray them ahead of time with some penetrating oil so that hopefully they won't give me too much trouble. Well, it's only one way to find out how that's going to work, is to actually get in here and do it. Yep, it's turning on the other side, so I guess I better put a screwdriver in there. Oh boy, I don't think that screwdriver's doing too much. Nope, gonna need another tool to hold that. Okay, so I got a better screwdriver. We'll see what happens. I'll try holding that and then turning this nut from the other side. Wow, riskier than I thought. Whoop, what was that? Whoa. Yeah. That one came loose. All right. Only 3 more to go. Okay, so I was able to get the rest of the bolts out without too much issue. It does pay to spray these things ahead of time with some good penetrating oil and let them soak a little bit. It makes your life a little bit easier. Otherwise, I would have had to cut them off. I could have done it, not a big deal, but it's a hassle I didn't want to really take on, and then you take a chance of cutting something that you didn't want to cut. All right, so here we are. It's off, and now the next step is we take it in to the welding bench so we can start reinforcing this a little bit. Grandpa's got to see if I got some scrap steel around that's going to do the job. Okay, here we are at the welding table. Now the next step is going to be to remove these, what's left of this wheel, that wheel, and that axle. We don't need those anymore. We might as well just get them right out of the way. This little clip on the end here, just get in there and pry that off. There. That's out of the way. And now we got to pry off our other wheel. Let's see, I was hoping that axle would just come through there. But, oh, we got something here that's got to come off. Nice little spacer. All right. Got out of the way. Now, hopefully, this piece will come off. Good. And now, let's see if we can. Oh, that's not going to come off there so easy. That is actually staked right here on the axle so that it can't slide through. Wow, tricky buggers. All right, well, we'll take care of that. Quick work. There we are. Alright, now we're down to the basic components here of our undercarriage for the back of the wagon. It's not too bad. I mean, it could be heavier, but again, it was a toy wagon, so I don't expect any more than what it is. I scrounged some steel. As you know, Grandpa doesn't throw anything away, so I got a piece of this flat stock. It's a little bit thicker than 1/8 inch, not quite 3/16, but it'll work, I think, for part of it. Then I got this nice little piece of old angle iron that came off of something. You can see that it's got some holes drilled in it here. I hope you can see. It's a little rusty, but it's quite heavy. I mean, it's a pretty heavy piece of iron. So I'm hoping I can use some of that. Maybe what I'll do is cut some of this angle iron to go in here, weld that in there to add a little support. Same thing on the other side. And this piece I'll weld on the bottom just to add a little extra strength to that part of it. Okay, so I've got to cut some steel, I guess, and we'll get rolling on the next step. After I cut the steel, will be to weld it. Okay, here's our pieces of steel that we cut out. Grandpa can get rid of this. Don't need this anymore. Basically, what I want to do is hold them in like this. In here, like this. And then put this other piece in the same way over here, basically. Like that, sorta. Get them in there nice and even, get them welded in place. That'll just add a little extra support to this as far as load bearing. The load comes down on it. And then this last piece right here, I'm going to weld on the bottom again, just to give it a little bit extra support. It's a little wider here to give it a little more of a base against the bottom of the wagon. So what I'm going to do now is take these pieces over to grinder, clean them up a little bit, fix the edges, and then get this ready to weld. All right, the first piece I'm going to weld is this piece right here on the base. And that way it'll be in place and I can drill my holes from the other side without anything in the way. So I'm going to put that basically eyeball it. It doesn't have to be exact, so that it's kind of even all the way around, and then I will tack it into place. Put a couple of stitches on it. Alright, that's in place. Next step, I'll take it over to the drill press and drill those 2 holes. Alright, now we're ready to weld in these supports. I went ahead and I measured the distance on the other axle just to kind of keep it the same, and I'll know approximately where to put this when I go to weld it in. It's going to be something like that. Now, I did put these bolts in first because these bolts are what's going to attach our outriggers. And if I don't put them in now, I'll never get them in once I get this piece welded in. So it'll be something like this on each side here when we get done. Something like that. Okay, well, next step is I tack these in place and then weld them up. Bacon fry, making me hungry. Alright, there we are, there's one. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing and weld up the other side. Okay, so this is going to be hard for you to see, but what I did was, when I welded this support in here, it got a little close to my bolt hole, and I wasn't going to be able to get my bolt in. So I just took my oxyacetylene torch and cut a little bit of this support out. It's not going to affect the strength of it really, but hopefully it's going to give me enough clearance now so I can get that bolt down in through that hole. Next step, I think what I'm going to do is just mount our pieces onto the wagon and see how it all fits together. So I'm going to put these our axle support on first. I've got some hardware here. I need a couple bolts. So let's put them up on the bottom. So put a nut on that. This was a little close too to the support, but I'm hoping we'll get away with it. I didn't engineer it the best. That's the thing, when you're building something kind of by the seat of your pants and building it as you go along, you don't always get everything perfect. But luckily, you usually can figure out a workaround. All right, there's that one on. This is the tricky one where I had to take the torch and burn away some of the support. And I don't know, I got quite enough of it burned away, but we'll see what happens here. Okay, now next we'll put on our side struts. So they'll go on this. These are self-locking nuts, by the way, friction nuts. There's a couple different names for them. I'm hoping to use these to get away from using lock washers. I don't like to tighten everything down right away until I get everything in, because that way it gives me some room to finagle around in case if bolt holes don't line up completely perfect. I'm going to reuse a couple of the old bolts that I took out. And put a little bit of cutting oil on it just to lubricate it a little bit. This up so. Alright. Now what I did was I made a couple of these kind of like washers, just extra piece of metal to go underneath here to give it a little extra support. A little extra sturdiness, I guess. Grandpa's chickens. They like to be part of it. All right. Oops. There we are. Now we're ready to tighten it all up and see how it goes together. Okay, get underneath here. I don't know, I may have to tilt this on its side a little bit. Will that make it easier? We'll see. Ooh, get back here. Bench isn't quite big enough. Never is. Starting to get a little dark. supposed to get some rain here, so I don't know. We might get rained out. Alright, this is the one that I'm most worried about down here. So far, so good. Yeah, I think we might have lucked out on that. I think we got it. Now our struts. Getting heavier. I don't know if you can see that sky, but it's definitely starting to get dark. I don't know if we're going to be able to finish this project outside or not, or move back into the shop. We'll see what happens. All right, 2 more bolts to tighten up. I don't know if you can hear that. Definitely some rumbling. I'm gonna have to move inside here a little bit. There. All right. Well, I'm feeling some drops for sure right now. So let's move our wagon inside onto the welding table. Yep, just in time. All right. Now we come to the point where we've got to put our wheels and axle on. So what I have here is a piece of 5/8 round stock, mild steel, nothing fancy. And my hope is to put it on here and then put our wheels on. Okay, and they'll go on something like that. Now, what I've got to do is decide how wide I want this to stand, so the length of my axle. I'd like to have it a little bit wider than the front, just to give it a little more stability in the back. So that's the next step of this process, just to determine how long I want to cut this, and then cut it. And then after we do that, we can get our wheels mounted on and then welded fast. Okay, so I'm thinking maybe something like that'll be close. So the next step, I'll just mark where I want to cut that rod for the axle, put it over on the saw, and get her cut off. There, all right, hopefully guesstimated the right length. These chop saws really make quick work of stuff, better than the old hand hacksaw. I'd still be doing this, and you'd be watching me for about a half hour with a handsaw trying to get through this. That's no fun for anybody. Alright, I'm just going to clean up the edges a little bit on the grinder, round them around a little bit, and then let's get back to our wagon and see how this looks. Okay, here we are back at the wagon. Got our axle cut and ground and finished off a little bit. Now the next thing is I've got to figure out what I'm going to do, because I can't just slap these wheels on there. Obviously they're just going to come off or going to slide in and out. It's just not going to work. So what I decided I would do is got myself some more hardware here. Grandpa keeps the hardware store in business. So I thought what I'd do is I'd put a washer on the inside, then our wheel like this, our other wheel this, figure out how we want it, like that, there. Now we got this wheel on. We obviously need something to keep it from sliding off, so we'll put another washer here, and we'll do the same thing on the other side, and then that way we should have this so it'll spin yet won't fall off. So the next step is I'm gonna tack my washers in place and on the inside and get them welded around, and then I'll do the same thing on the outside. I don't want to get this too hot because there is a bearing in there and I don't want to melt things, so probably on the outside there won't be that much stress. I'll probably just put a couple tacks on the outside. We'll see how that works, just to hold it in place. Alright, I got them where I want them. Now next step is just put a small little tack weld on just to hold them in place. Okay, now these wheels off. Washer. Alright, now the next step will be to put a nice weld around the inside of those. They're on there pretty square, so I think they're in a good spot. So probably what I'll do is just chuck them in the vise so I can get a good angle on them, and we'll weld them in place. Pretty good, that should hold it. I don't think I'm going to be putting more than a ton or a ton and a half on this wagon, so I think we'll be alright. Same thing to the other end. Alright, this is where we're gonna just have to do some eyeballing. I want to get these on here and this, like this. Okay, now the next step is just to put these washers on the outside. And just get the washer on the outside now to keep the wheel from sliding off. And I'm just going to set it on there. And kind of, I don't want it too tight so that the wheel doesn't want to turn. But I don't want a whole lot of slop in it either. So, like I say, this is just kind of a, you know, you're going to eyeball it. Just get the feel of it. Get it basically where we want it. And then just put a tack on it. To hold it in place, and maybe a couple good tacks. I don't want to go crazy with the weld because, again, yeah, this is metal, but there's a bearing in there, and I don't like the idea of heating things up too much. So I'm basically just going to put a couple of heavy tacks on the washer where it attaches to the axle. So we'll do that next. Same thing to the other side. Grandpa. It's not hot in here yet. Okay, I know Grandpa's eyes are old, but I did use the tape measure. You know, for what we're doing here, I gotta say that's pretty close. So next step is I'm gonna tack that axle onto the struts, and then after that we'll do our real welding. And that's where the proof of the pudding's gonna be, that I can get this welded on there with satisfactory welds to hold it all together. Okay, let's get going. Alright, tacked on. I'm going to adjust my welder, turn up the heat a little bit, and we'll really put our final welds on this. Well, I guess you expert welders out there would probably call those snot welds. But hopefully they'll do the trick. Now I just need to do the same thing to the other side. A little more to this side. Well, it's on there and the wheels are spinning. Next step is to put a load on it and see what she does. Well, here we are back at the wood pile. It made it all the way back to the cabin. Wheels are still on, so let's see what happens when we get a load on it. Thankfully the rain stopped. It was pouring. I wouldn't want to be doing this when in the pouring rain. Strap on that. Here we go. Together, see how long it lasts. I'm not going to baby it, that's for sure. Whatever happens, happens. It's more of a tool than a toy. So that's where we're at with this one. Well, as always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this video, if you want to see me do some more. It's a brand new channel. Whatever encouragement you can give me would be great, and I'll keep cranking them out if you folks like them. And oh yeah, somebody had left a comment. It was a really nice comment. They were interested in my shop and the layout of it and my tools. If that's something you folks are interested in, that's certainly a video I can do. So feel free to leave me something in the comment section. Okay, thank you, and take care, and God bless.